Also on the administration's agenda today, the epidemic of drug violence in Mexico. The big four on national security are on their way down right now. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano, Defense Secretary Robert Gates, and Joint Chiefs Chair Admiral Mike Mullen. They're going to be there to talk about security concerns and U.S. efforts to help fight the drug cartels. Covering Mexico's drug war is a deadly game itself. Take a look at this. Already this year, 4 journalists have been killed for telling the story of what's happening there. 12 were killed just last year. It was the second deadliest country for journalists, ahead of places like Afghanistan and Iraq. Only the Philippines was worse. So why do it? Why get in the middle of the madness? Dodging bullets, death threats. What's the motivation? Francisco Villalobos is an international correspondent with Televisa. He's one of those brave journalists willing to risk it all to tell the inside story. He joins us live from a much safer place today, Charlotte, North Carolina. Good to see you.
Much safer and also very, very much safer weather as well. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning to you. Well, Francisco, I don't think that any of us as journalists could ever imagine what you take on a regular basis. We may go to Juarez, other parts of Mexico, and do a special series, a few reports, but you're dealing with this day in and day out. Cartels killing journalists that are trying to cover this story and investigate them. Give us a feeling for what that is like for you as you come up with these story ideas, try and decide how to go after these stories, and then go in country to do it.
Well, in my particular situations, I covered the whole southeastern United States, like the Gulf Coast region on the border between Texas and Mexico. I don't have the constant to be living in Mexico, and obviously my life is not in constant danger as the people that journalists, my fellow journalists that live in Mexico. But certainly when we go and cover stories along the border, when we go into hotspots like in Juarez and Matamoros and Reynosa and Ciudad Alemán, Tamaulipas, you have places that you understand that are very dangerous. And not only on the metropolitan areas that we go to, we go also on places that there's absolutely nothing but an invisible border, which is the Rio Bravo, the Rio Grande, like we know it here in the United States, and in some situations a small little fence. And we're aware of the situations. We're aware because of you only deal with the drug trafficking or with the gun trafficking. You also are having to deal also with the human trafficking as well, with the situation that if you're by yourself with your cameraman or sometimes completely by yourself, you're exposed to the elements, you're exposed to the dangers, and you're exposed to somebody confuse you with a rival trafficker yourself. And as far as the motivation, I think that any journalist that loves their passion, as yourself, you as an anchor or a war correspondent, or in my case, an international correspondent that live in a state that is bordered to an international border, it is the passion. You have to be passionate about it. You have to believe in what you're doing. You certainly don't do it for money because there's no price that could buy your health or that could buy your life. I mean, you do it because you believe that you're by reporting the story, you're doing a cause. You're serving a cause bigger than yourself. That you are reporting what's going on, so that people could know what's going on, so that the people that die don't die for nothing, and that that their stories are being told for the general public and for the people that have the power to make changes to do so.
Do you ever fear for your life? Do you feel fear for the lives of your family? And what's that like to try and embrace?
I've been very careful personally, but I could tell you about the other fellow journalists that do fear for their life. Myself, I've been careful not to put myself into situations where I could actually have my daughter. I have an 8-year-old daughter. To put her, that her father be in danger or her be in danger or anything like that. I've been very careful about that. I've been very smart about that. And again, I live in this side of the border, in a safer side of the border. Other journalists, I could tell you that, I mean, it's a situation where they are constantly threatened that if they that they have to move, in fact, from Mexico. I have a friend that just moved. She was a columnist in Coahuila, which is a state, is also a border state, and she moved to Houston, Texas, because of her column. She got death threats to a point that she couldn't continue living in her city. when I do my stories, and talking about myself, of course, I don't think about those things because I'm a person of faith. I try to be careful. I do my homework. I don't put myself into situations that are stupid situations, and I try to be aware of my surroundings. I also talk a lot with the local people, not necessarily with the authorities, but also with the people that are living in these areas, the people that know these areas at best, and anybody that could be a war correspondent, that could be that go to foreign countries. You know that the local people, the habitants people, are the best source of information and the best source of your safety.
Wow. Francisco, we admire what all of you do there at Televisa, and we just appreciate you sharing some time with us today. Obviously, it's a story. Even though it's from afar, we continue to cover, and we appreciate your insight.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, and good job at what you guys are doing in CNN as well. You guys have awesome correspondence as well.
Thank you, Francisco.